Hi, it's Joe Mazumdar of Exploration Insights at the January Metals Investor Forum. And one of the Q&A sessions, the first off is Regulus Resources with CEO John Black. John, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you today.
No worries. Okay, we'll get right into it because these interviews are about 8 to 10 minutes. So just to understand, I've held Regulus for a while and I continue to hold it. And just to understand, like last year, we saw the copper market or the copper price move. We saw base metal groups move, from the March fall to the rise. And Regulus did perform at one point, but then overall, Regulus was down about 16% for the year, whereas copper was up 25%. So for our viewers to understand, like what was behind the underperformance of Regulus last year in 2020?
Well, I think one of the biggest issues is that we like many companies faced COVID, and in Peru it was a little harder for us to get started up than it is in some parts of the country. So for most of the year we were not drilling, which means very little data flow. And that's really kind of the essential thing to catch people's interest in a market like this. We've got an outstanding project, a very nice resource, but it depends on being able to stand out in that market. We chose to set things up carefully and make sure we could come back and work safely with the communities, and that meant for most of the year we weren't drilling.
Yeah, because you're in a part where although there's an active mine there at Tantawatai, and also at Cerro Corona, you still got some small communities around that part of Cajamarca that you don't want to be seen. Even if the COVID-19 doesn't come in from you, it might be blamed on you. So you want to try and avoid that perception risk.
Well, it's a combination of these. We want to keep our own staff safe as possible on this and their families. And then we definitely don't want to be having our project introduce a negative impact into the communities. So mines and exploration were deemed as essential activities in Peru, as in many parts of the world. But that once you're able to work, you still need to be able to work in a manner that everybody, all the communities in the area you're working are comfortable with.
Right. And also infrastructurally, I mean, Peru had shut down a lot of the flights and things like that. So the access would have been more expensive and harder to do, I suspect.
To some degree, but we're pretty fortunate that we have most of our staff is based in Cajamarca, so we have a strong local team. So that didn't really impact us too much. The one thing that did impact us is that up until this year, we've had the benefit of being able to leverage off of infrastructure at the mine next door, where we have a collaborative agreement to work together. So we were able to house on the mine site. Of course, the mine was under severe restrictions on space for their own personnel, which meant that we, to do our work now, we have to separate and have our own camps. And so we had to establish a new relationship with the communities to have our own space. So a few extra challenges with COVID, surmountable. And as the months go by and as things improve now, we'll be back to a situation where we can drill more normally this year.
Okay. And so, I mean, let's take a step back and understand, like for our viewers and potential investors, is what is the opportunity of this project, AntaKori, which is located in the northern part of Peru in the province of Cajamarca. And so, yeah,
Well,
if you can sort of give us
what the Antiquary project offers us, and what really caught our eye on why we entered into agreement to acquire the project, is that it's a very large copper gold sulfide system that is immediately adjacent to and beneath an existing operating oxide mine. So we have a portion of the large copper gold sulfide deposit, and our neighbors, which is a joint venture called Comalaiche, which operates the Tantawatai mine, operates an oxide mine that's mining the cap over the top of this large copper gold sulfide deposit that they share with us. And so we've put out our first resource last year. So just on our ground, we have over 250 million tons of indicated resource, over 267 million tons of inferred resource, at a combined average grade of about 0.7 copper equivalent. So very large, very attractive resource that's part of an even larger deposit when shared with the neighbors. And essentially in a brownfield situation, with that oxide mine nearing the end of its mine life, there's a great opportunity to make a transition from a pretty decent sized oxide gold operation into a much larger copper gold operation. And we believe that the ground we have is essential to make that operation go forward in the most attractive way.
Okay, so I guess like we have this opportunity. So I guess like what is Regulus doing to realize that opportunity?
Well, part of our strategy, as you might recall, Regulus is our second company under our same management team. And our predecessor company was called Antares Minerals, and where we had the good fortune to make the Antiquary discovery, drill that large copper porphyry system out and sell it to First Quantum. We operate under the same principle with Regulus and AntaKori. What we specialize is identifying these opportunities where there might be a large copper or copper gold deposit, drilling those out to show the full size of it, and then de-risking it to show that it can be developed economically. And then ideally, we'd like to monetize by selling the project to the eventual operator. We're not operators by nature. We're good at identifying these opportunities and exploring them, but it's best to pass them to the company to develop it. So that's our strategy with AntaKori right now, is continue to show the full size of the system and in many ways improve our hand. There will be an eventual consolidation of the district to go forward with a large operation. We believe we have a key component of that, and there'll be, to improve our position in this, we want to demonstrate that our mineralization is as large as possible and as attractive as possible to the early upfront part of that operation.
Okay, and that feeds, I guess, into the next question. I mean, so you're still in the middle of the program that you had before COVID-19, and which you temporarily are in the middle of suspending. You're suspended right now because of another event. And that drilling would generate a new resource. So maybe you could give us an idea of like, where are you in terms of that program?
Right.
And what do you hope to realize in 2021?
So our phase one program allowed us to put out the resource we put out in 2019. And we're about 18,000 meters now into a phase two drill program, which is designed to extend that mineralization. So the large resource we've already indicated that we have on our ground is open to the north, and we're showing that that continues to expand to the north as part of our drilling. We drilled most of what we could from our existing permits, and we were very excited at the start of last year at 2020 because we just received a new permit that would allow us to step into the northern extension, what we call the Anta Norte part of the AntaKori project. And so in the Anta Norte, we have geophysical evidence that it suggests that the system extends quite a bit to the north, but we had been unable to test that. So we just set up for that, then COVID hit, we had to suspend that program, and we managed to get our first two drill holes into it late last year, which we announced last week, which have confirmed that the system extends to the north. So we're very excited about that. It opens up the potential for an even much larger system than we've reported to date.
Right.
So the idea is that when we get recommence drilling here in the near term, we will complete our phase two program during this year and put out an updated mineral resource estimate using our phase two results. And we anticipate we'll have that out by the end of the year. So we'll do a data cutoff in about Q3 of this year and publish an updated resource, but towards the end of the year. We'll most likely be continuing to drill beyond that. I don't think we'll have defined the edges of the system by that time.
Okay, and so right now you did a transaction that leaves you fully funded to realize all your plans for 2021.
Yeah, we were very fortunate that we've recently entered into what we consider a strategic partnership with the Cisco Gold Royalties. It was a rather creative idea that came from Adam Greening, our VP Corporate Development, and that we've entered into the agreement with the Cisco Gold Royalties that results in us receiving a large cash payment from them. We received $12.5 million US late last year, which sets us up well for all the work that we plan to do this year. And even though we're entering into an agreement with the royalty company in an unusual way, it results in us reducing the royalty load on our project. So the way the partnership works is that we have a collage of old historic mining claims that we assembled to create our land position. And most of those claims have a small royalty associated with them, historic royalty. We were very aware that there was an opportunity to clean those up, but it wasn't a driving motivator for us to do that as part of our business plan. But clearly a group like a Cisco would like to acquire those royalties. So we work with a Cisco that when we identify an opportunity to purchase a royalty, they pay 3/4 of the acquisition cost. We pay 1/4 of the acquisition cost. In exchange, they receive half of the royalty we buy, and we extinguish the other half. So we end up cutting the royalty in half, and the half that remains gets transferred to a Cisco and modernized into a standard corporate or standard industry normal royalty. And in the end, so we reduce the royalty load on the project. We receive that initial cash payment from a Cisco to be able to move forward. That's non-dilutive in that we're not issuing shares for that. We do issue some warrants, but those warrants are priced quite far out for us, which is attractive for our shareholders. So, and then the third component of it is we get the technical endorsement. A group like Cisco would not enter into this type of an agreement if they didn't believe, as we do, that there's a very good chance this will become a major mine in the not too distant future.
Okay, so we got to round up this Q&A session, but from what I understand, like I own shares in Regulus, full disclosure, you've got the working capital, you've got the drills there, you're just trying to get over this temporary suspension to keep going on the drill program, which I gather is going to go up to about 25,000 meters.
25 or 30 probably depends what we find as we move through that. And just a few words on that suspension. As we started up our drilling late in 2020, we saw a sudden increase in interest from various parties slightly farther afield from the project who wanted to learn more about the project, possibly gain some benefits from the project. And in the context of COVID and the political environment in Peru, it was difficult for us to manage that interaction and keep everybody safe. So we decided to suspend the drilling, work with the groups to understand what we're doing, make sure that they're comfortable that our drilling is safe, understand the full benefits that we provide to the communities. And we anticipate in the next few weeks, sometime during the month of February, we'll be back to drilling normally as we go forward. We want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with what we're doing.
Okay, well, great. Thank you very much for doing this with us, and all the best. And hopefully we'll see a lot of results coming from the Anta Norte part of the AntaKori project in 2021, and look forward to the resource. Thanks, John.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Joe. Take care.
Thanks. And that's it for me, Joe Mazumdar of Exploration Insights and the January Metals Investor Forum. Thank you very much for tuning in.